YouTube. Alright, so it's Friday. Off work. I just got over here to the Grand Dam storage. So, yesterday, my power steering pump broke, and I had to swap that out after I got off work yesterday. It's still leaking, so tomorrow I'm planning on spending the whole day tomorrow. I'm going to drop the subframe, pull the old one out, and put the one off the parts car in there. I'm going to try to swap some inner tie rods and boots around to make sure everything's good on it before I put it in, so I don't have to fuck with it being in the car, because it's more of a pain in the ass that way. So I'm gonna deal with that tomorrow. Today I want to focus on tearing down the Grand Dam engine, because here before too long I'm planning on pulling this engine out and tearing it down, and I'm going to use a lot of this stuff for the Grand Dam. So, and right now, since I sold the mock-up block that I had in here, then I'm going to use this block as my mock-up block. So I want to tear everything off of it that I'm going to be using, and then that way it's not as much weight I have to move around and have on there. And all I really need is the block, the oil pan, and the timing cover, but everything else really can come off. I mean, I guess I can leave the crank pulley for now and the water pump, because that's part of the timing cover. But I want to pull the alternator bracket off, I want to pull the coil pack bracket off, I want to pull the supercharger and shit off, lower intake manifold. I guess I can kind of leave this on here just as spacing, just so I can kind of test fit that. And then I also want to look at this oil filter housing. I have this other one right here, and I've already cleaned it all up. This is off of a Buick, and it uses a different style oil pan, but instead of it coming straight out, it puts it down like this. And I haven't got to exactly test fit it. It looks like it'll clear this oil pan and just sit like right in here somewhere like that. So, but at the same time, I need to test fit this with it on the subframe to see if this is gonna hit the subframe or hit that 5-speed axle. So that's where I'm at with that. And before I can really say yay or nay on this, I need to test fit it and make sure it's gonna work on the subframe with everything. I know this will work because I've already had, you know, one of these in this car. The only thing that sucks is when you're pulling the engine and everything, you either have to take this off to pull the engine, or you have to drop everything out the bottom, because whenever that's in the car, that oil filter sits like right over in here, and when you try to go up, it hits this frame rail. You can see where the last time I pulled it, was trying to pull it, it was scraping on everything over here. It had left blue paint on the original one whenever I still had the automatic in here. But yeah, I definitely know that this sits way too far over to be able to pull it out of the top. So if I can get that other one, if it'll fit and it won't hit the axle or hit the subframe anywhere, then I can use that oil filter housing. And then that way, if I ever need to pull the engine, I don't have to drop the subframe. I could pull the engine and trans together out the top. And then, so something else is, since I'm going with the 5-speed, I have to cut this bracket off. And this is for the factory automatic for this transmission mount here. And it would normally slide up in there, and you put a bolt through with the nut on the other side, and that's your transmission mount. It mounts to the body. But whenever I had this slid back, I lined up this back here where it would go, lined up the front where it would go. And this bracket is going to sit like right in here. And so whenever I go to put this back in the car, this bracket's going to hit this. And this is my shifter mechanism for the shifter. So I'm going to have to cut this off before I can put everything back up in here. But like I said, that'll also be for a later date. For now, for today, I want to focus on starting tearing this apart. So y'all give me a few minutes, and I'm going to get some tools out, and I'll give you guys another update once I start tearing into this thing. Alright y'all, so I started stripping this thing down. So I've got the coil pack bracket off and the alternator bracket off. They're both laying over there. And I got the fuel rail and injectors off. Fuel rail is laying right there. Injectors are over there because I have the 42.5s. And I got a brand new set of these nice shiny clips. I got some brand spanking new chrome ones. I thought that like on ZZP they're actually the same color as this fuel rail. That's what I ordered, but they came just like those, but some brand new ones. So I'm gonna use the brand new clips with the brand new injectors. I went ahead and took all my injector harness plugs and set them right in there with the injectors. So I just busted all these bolts on the supercharger loose. So now I just got to run all these bolts out of the supercharger. I can pull the supercharger off. I just got to get some cardboard set down so I can set it down. Then I can pull the lower intake manifold. And then I can pull the heads. So y'all stay tuned and I'll keep you guys updated as I make some more progress on this thing. Alright you guys, so I've got the supercharger off, sitting to the side. The gasket still is good. Say it was already used. Whenever I rebuild it again, I'll just buy a brand new one. But this one will still be a good backup. So I've got all the lower intake manifold bolts out. They're all 3/8. So I just got to pop this lower intake manifold off. But I've got to get either undo both of these EGR. Oh well, I guess not for the lower intake manifold. But yeah, I was also working on this rear manifold, getting these exhaust studs broke free. And a couple of them, like this one, I can't even get the socket on there. So I'll have to probably use a wrench for that one and this bottom one. And then also the one connecting the EGR to the rear manifold. But it's coming along, it's coming apart. So y'all stay tuned, I'll keep you guys updated. Alright y'all, so I got the front header and the crossover pipe off. I got the starter off. I got the lower intake manifold off. I've almost got the rear header off. It's just holding on by that one bolt right there. I just couldn't get to it with the socket and with the long extension on it. It just won't go up in there. So I'm gonna have to grab a wrench and get that one off with the wrench. And then once I get that off with the wrench, I already got this one connecting the EGR out. So then once I get that one off, then this will just come right off the EGR, and I have to make sure I don't lose that gasket. But yeah, then I can get this rear header off, and then it's just going to be pulling the valve covers and getting the head bolts out, and then the heads will be off. And that's pretty much as far as I'm breaking it down, is getting the heads off. And probably this AC compressor bracket, I'll probably pull that off too. And then everything else can stay on it. And I'll go ahead and get that engine off the stand and get it bolted back up to the 5-speed. And get my engine mounts and shit that I made bolted back on here. And then go from there. So y'all stay tuned and I'll keep you guys updated once I get this rear manifold and get the valve covers off. Alright you guys, so I got both the valve covers off. I got the rear header off. Everything's sitting over there. So I've got to find me another piece of cardboard somewhere that I can set over here. So once I get the heads off and the rockers and everything, I can set them on some cardboard so I'm not having to set them on the ground. And then since I'm wanting to use these heads and I need to swap out valve springs for the NIC cam, and I want to make sure everything's good and 100%. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before for the 07 Pre. I'm going to take these heads off and take them over to USAVE Machine Shop. But this time I have the brand new retainers. Now these are the 90-pound valve springs that I bought, which I'm not going to use those. But I am going to use these LS modified retainers. And then I have another set. Yeah, right here I have a set of LS valve springs. They're like 105 pound. So that's what I'm going to end up using, is the 105 pound valve springs. with the brand new retainers. So I'm going to take all those to the machine shop. I'm going to have them swap everything out, lap the valves, everything just like you did for the 07 pre-engine. And that way I'll know 100% that these heads are good to go whenever I bolt them back on to this engine that's in the car. And then I'll still have that good set of heads that's on there now with the Gen 3 supercharger and all that shit. So at a later date, I can rebuild another engine with all that stuff, whether it be another supercharged engine or another NA engine. But I am going to end up building another engine to put back in this car, since I'm going through all the work and bullshit of swapping all this interior and everything that I'm wanting to do. And I'm about to be swapping the rack and pinion and tie rods and lines and tranny cooler lines, and like I'm about to be swapping all this shit around. So I just want to make sure that you know, like, or since I'm swapping all this stuff around on the car, then I am going to be putting another engine back in it, supercharged, so that this will still be a decent car. And then yesterday, while I was at work, after I got off work and I was changing that power steering pump, I set my ratchet up here and it cracked the windshield. It didn't crack it all the way through, so it won't leak right now, but it did. It cracked it pretty good and broke a big chunk out. So that's not a big deal though. I have the windshield that's in the parts car is good. There's no cracks in it. So hopefully I can have a glass guy come by and take the one out of the parts car and put it in this one. And then that way I don't have to spend like $300 on a brand new one. Maybe get it for like 100 or 125 or something, just to have them swap ones that I already have. And I know I just got to find someone that'll do that. But I guess right now I'm going to go ahead and break all these rockers free, and then get all the rockers off, pull the push rods out, and then I'll loosen all the head bolts and pull the heads off, and I'll just set them to the side on a piece of cardboard once I go grab another piece of cardboard box and go from there. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update as soon as I get these heads off. Alright, you guys, so I got the heads off. The head gaskets still look fucking brand new. I guess I didn't coat these with copper coat or anything. So yeah, head gaskets still look fine. Yeah, here it is. I mean, I'm not seeing anything except for a little bit of debris that fell on the cylinders when I pulled it apart. I don't know. Cylinders are lubricated. So I don't know what's going on with it. But either way, I'm just going to get this AC compressor and bracket off of here. And then I'll grab the cherry picker and I'll get this engine off the stand and get it bolted back up to the 5-speed and get it back on the subframe over there so I can keep on test fitting my stuff. And we'll go from there. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll definitely keep you guys updated. Alright, you guys, so got the AC compressor and the bracket off, sitting over here. So now I've got the engine stripped down where I want it. I'm just gonna undo this rear knock sensor plug. Everything else can just stay on there for now. There we go. That's pretty much the whole damn engine torn apart in like an hour. Like I said, these engines are so simple. I mean, again, it is a hell of a lot easier when shit's out of the car and you can actually get to everything. And this engine hasn't ran since it was put together, so all the bolts aren't hot and seized together from heat. But that's okay. It'll be alright. So now I gotta grab this cherry picker and get it out here and unfold the legs and try to make a little bit of room since I have everything sitting over here. And I'm going to have to figure out somewhere to stack all this shit in there now. So I'm going to have to make some room in here. But yeah, I've got to pull this subframe back out, and then I'll get this engine set on the subframe and bolted up to the transmission and go from there. So y'all stay tuned, and I will keep you guys updated. Alright, you guys, so the engine is off the stand, sitting on the ground. And I was trying to pull the subframe out further, and I was trying to pull it up onto the cherry picker legs with the engine still hanging, but it just kept pushing the cherry picker back, and I don't want to run into all the parts. So I just set the engine down and got the cherry picker out of the way, and I'm just gonna, I guess, scoot this a little bit at a time or whatever, or if I can just pick it up and set it over there, I'll do that. But I think I'm gonna have to like kind of drag it over that way and then drag it over the subframe and get it set in place. And then I got to bolt my front engine mount on. It's in that white box right there under the head gaskets. Got to bolt that front engine mount bracket that I made with the rubber mount, and then get my transmission mount, and then I'll get it all bolted up together, and we'll go from there. So y'all give me a few minutes and I'll give you guys another update here in just a minute. Alright, you guys, so I got the engine bolted back to the transmission, and got my custom front mount and my custom side engine mount bolted back up. So it looks like the mount's sitting a little bit sideways just because of the weight. But so I found this, and so I was thinking if I wrap that around the front, then that could stick out far enough to drill a couple holes in this. But I really don't know if this is going to be thick enough. This is what they use for the steel decks on a roof. And this is the base before any material goes on. It's welded in metal, and you can walk on that when it's welded in place on a roof. So I don't know if it's going to be thick enough to hold the weight of the engine, but I guess we'll see. So that's one thing I could use, or I could use this bracket like I was saying before, and then I could cut it here and cut it here and bend it out flat, and then I know 100% that that will bolt up to that, because this is a transmission mount, and also this bracket, you know, so the bottom side of, because this is normally the bottom of the mount, and this is the top, and so normally this bolts in here, so I know 100% it'll bolt right to this. So now it's just making it whether I take it and cut it off here and then just weld this to the subframe to where it lines up. I mean, that could work. So I don't know, there's a few things that I could do. I just kind of need to see where it's going to line up at and all that, just so I can make sure that it's going to work properly. But lots of progress. I got the whole fucking engine torn down. That's the whole damn engine right there. So got everything torn down, got it off the stand, got it bolted back to the transmission, got the power steering pump bolted back on to it. And then you can see over here what I was talking about. So with the oil filter housing, so this sticks out, and I mean that frame rail comes up like right here. So if you try to pull it, it hits here. And I was wanting to try to use this one, but see, this is why I wanted to test fit it, because now if I line that up with my top bolt, see how far that sits down, and it bolts on right above the subframe. So yeah, this would definitely, it would just get crushed by the subframe. So there's no way I'm going to be able to use that for the Grand Am. Maybe for the Grand Prix I could possibly use it for the 07 if I really wanted to, but no big deal, no worries. Small steps, I'm making progress. So next thing that I got to get done is I've got to try to lift the subframe a little bit so I can try to test fit this and maybe test fit that up in there and see how it's going to bolt up to that. So y'all give me a few minutes and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, y'all, so I grabbed this transmission mount bracket and I set it up to where this was flat on the ground, and just to where, like, I used my little pick tool right here. And I just took the mount, I set it up right here, and then went like this and kind of scratched into the back to mark it. And I got the grinder And now I'm just grinding it in half. So I'm going to finish grinding this down and get that top piece cut off. And then once I get that cut in half, and I'm going to test fit that bottom piece right up against the subframe there and see about how far it sits out. So I'm going to have to lift the engine up, which is not that big a deal. Just got to lift it up some so I can kind of tuck that under there, see where it's going to fit. And then as long as everything lines up and the mount's going to line up with the holes on this, then I can go ahead and pull the engine back off and clean that up, clean the paint off, and grind that all down and get all that paint off. And I'll weld it on there. And, you know, I'll have to mark it where I want it, where I want the bracket to go. But it's coming together. I'm very happy with the progress. So y'all stay tuned and I will keep you guys updated. Alright, you guys, so I've got the mount cut. So now I just gotta kind of clean it up a little bit. It didn't cut 100% straight. But I used a grinder and I guess I went a little bit crooked on this side and didn't get it perfectly straight. And then on the ends over here, I had to use a Sawzall to just chop off the ends because the grinder was not cooperating. And then I tried to use a metal blade on it and it's fucked. So I just swapped out to a different grinder wheel. There's a Harbor Freight one, but there's a brand new one versus this old ass DeWalt one. But got it done, so it's cut off. So now I want to test fit this on here. See about how it's going to line up. It looks like it'll be about perfect. And then it's just going to be about if the mount will work with this hump or not. I might have to do it upside down. And I don't know how well that's going to work. But I got to lift this engine up and then I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so that was a lot of fucking work. But I got the subframe sitting up on the cherry picker leg, so now it's at least up off the ground. And so you can see kind of where that's fitting. And so I need to probably cut this piece off here. So I don't know, maybe I can use a Sawzall and cut that off and give me just a little bit more clearance there. So y'all stay tuned and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so I've got the end of that cut off and got it cleaned up. So now I'm going to test fit this again. Oh, it's still so close. So it's actually hitting the mount right there. Damn, so I might have to cut this off right here and just have this. That kind of sucks. Still a little bit sideways. And if I put it on like that, I mean, it bolts on there. And now it's just connecting it to the subframe. So, man, I was hoping that was going to be it. But I guess I'll chop a little bit more off this end right here and give you guys another update. Stay tuned. Alright, you guys. So, I put the front trans mount back on. I was working on this over here. And so I had this bolted on like that. And then I bolted this bracket on upside down like this to the bottom so that I could cut it and cut the piece of that bracket off where it was hitting right there. So I got that cut off, but it disintegrated the whole mount and just ripped it apart. So this mount is just no good. It's leaking some fluid and shit. So I was trying to use this other mount. That one's not going to work because it's wider and this part's hitting back here on the bottom of this hump. And I don't know, this one is just nice and it doesn't hit anything. That one's got plenty of space. But the issue I'm having is it's the exact same on both sides. And so it's this side is hitting this hump right here where it's angled. So I'm probably gonna have to cut it off right here and then cut this ear off, because this ear was also hitting the side of the rubber. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to cut most of that off and then place it with just this surface right here to get welded to the bottom. And then I'll weld it across the bottom side, and then I'll weld it across the top side on the front and on the bottom. So I'm still getting there. I'm still trying to test fit this damn thing. So y'all stay tuned, and I will keep you guys updated. Alright, you guys, so it got dark on me, and it's about 8:30. So I've been over here for about 3.5 hours or so. So I think I did pretty damn good. So I just kind of had to jack up the car a little bit, and just so I could slide this in here. And now I'm just kind of picking up all the parts, and I'm just going to stack everything back here on this side. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just trying to get everything picked up and avoid hitting the jack, and I'm just going to leave the jack here. So I guess I'm going to have to come back over here tomorrow. And so, I don't know, maybe I'll bring the rack and pinion and come over here, and I'll do everything over here tomorrow. So, guess y'all stay tuned, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Hey YouTube. Alright, so it is Saturday morning. It's about 11:30 or noon, somewhere right in there. And so I've already got the rack and pinion out of the parts car. I had it sitting here. I just put it in some trash bags, put the line to keep it from leaking all over everything. So I've got that loaded. I got me some degreaser down here, a couple bottles and a spray bottle. So now I just want to grab my 13 and my little ratchet, and I'm just going to pull this power steering pump off, just so I have an extra one with me. So just in case I have another one. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my ratchet and my 13 and pull that off. It's just 2 bolts. Everything's already disconnected from it. And so then that way I can go ahead and bring that with me too. And then about to load all this stuff up. Got me some metal zip ties for the inner tie rod boots, and grab some extra belts. And these are supercharger tensioner belt tensioners. I'm just going to take those back over to my storage. Yeah, I'm just going to grab me this 13 off this right quick. And my ratcheta. Fucking there it is. Yeah. That's all I need right there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this pump off real quick, and then I'll be loaded up and headed over to my storage. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update. And just like that, 2 minutes later, pump's off. So now I just got to load this up, and I'm headed over to my storage. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll keep you guys updated once I make it over to my storage. So y'all stay tuned. Alright, so it's the next day. It's Saturday. It's like 1 o'clock. So I'm back over here at the Grand Dam storage. Started getting the engine and everything back out. So I decided I'm gonna hold off on the Grand Prix for now, on the 97 steering shit. It's kind of late in the day, and I just want to make some more progress on this. So I'm going to keep working on my engine mount. I'm going to have to cut this down right here, so that way I can get it up in there all the way. Hopefully it doesn't take it too far over, but I guess we'll see. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright y'all, so I got this cut down. I used a hammer and I smashed it and kind of flattened it out some. I had to cut this corner down so I could get it to lay flat and beat the shit out of it. And since whenever I flattened it here in the middle where it was humped up, it spread the holes. So I'm having to drill the holes out a little bit. And then I got it test fitted, and it still is, the subframe sits like this far away. So there's a huge gap there, so it's not even going to fucking work. So I just wasted like a couple hours for no fucking reason, and just destroyed a perfectly good transmission mount bracket for a Grand Prix. So, now I don't have a fucking bracket. And I tried to use that little sheet metal shit for steel decking on a commercial building, and it was kind of working. And I was having it like that, but I cut it too fucking short. So there's like not really any room to bolt the holes or screw, drill out the holes. So that's not gonna work. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at today on this bullshit. So just more bullshit. So I guess I'm just gonna be done with this for now because it's pissing me the fuck off. And I know I fucked this shit up. It didn't do it itself. It was me. But it pissed me off. And I don't have $50 to buy a little fucking piece of plate steel. And even if I had the money, I ain't spending $50 on a square piece of fucking metal. So, I mean, I'd spend $80 on this flywheel, but it's machined and it's made into something. Not just a piece of fucking metal like that, but thicker. Sorry. Not spending that kind of money. So, I'm going to have to figure something else out from all the bullshit I have in here and in the other storage. So, I guess I'm going to take a break for right now so I don't start beating the shit out of shit with the fucking hammer. And, yeah, I'm going to take a break and smoke some weed, and I'll give you guys another update in like an hour. Okay, guys, so I went over to the 07 pre-storage, and I have another one of those transmission mount brackets that I cut. So I have another one of those over there, so no big deal there. So, also over there, since I bought that ZZP poly mount, then whenever it comes in, right now the 07 Engine and Trans has a brand new one of these mounts. So if I do end up needing another one of these, I have a brand spanking new one over there right now. I just can't take it right now because I haven't got the poly mount in yet. So what I did was I'm trying to figure something out here. So I took this aluminum, it's the 3.1 and 3.4 engine mount bracket, and I had this side bolted on under there, and this kind of came up instead of pushing it down. But whenever I had it like that, I couldn't get it to bolt on to anything because this part on the inside was hitting this hump down. So I flipped it upside down to where it goes down instead of up, and so essentially it's going to push the engine up that little 1/4 inch more or whatever. But if you look at this, it's looking pretty even with the bottom of the subframe. Sits a little bit lower, but I was just kind of debating, like, I need something to hold this. So I thought of something just now. So if I use the other transmission mount that's identical to that one, and I can flip this back how I had it, the bottom side of the mount will still mount up in there how it's supposed to. And then I thought of something else. So on the parts car over at the house, I've already taken everything off, but look, I have this exact same bracket for the trans mount, and it is welded right on the side of the subframe. Let me come from the back side. But yeah, you can kind of see it right there. See, it's welded onto the subframe right there. So all I'd have to do is cut those welds. That whole bracket would come right off. And then I have another one of those trans mount brackets on the parts car transmission too. But yeah, that's pretty fucking awesome. So I think what I'm going to do for today, I don't know, it's supposed to be raining for like the next 4 or 5 days, which I've heard that before, and it rained like 1 day, 1 or 2 days. But The weather's saying it's supposed to rain for the next few days, like until like Wednesday or Thursday, and it's only Saturday. And it's supposed to start raining tonight, and it's supposed to get cold. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to come back over here tomorrow, but I mean, I'm kind of at a standstill at the moment. So I think what I'm going to do is I brought my neighbors across the street's jack stands because they go way higher than any of the sets I have. And that way I'm going to take the Grand Dam. I'm going to raise these as high as they'll go. I'm going to stick those under the Grand Dam to lift it up higher. And that way I don't have to keep my jack under it. And I'll still be able to take this and slide it under the car. And then that way, you know, I don't have to keep trying to move it off and move it back on. That's just a lot of work. So, plus I like having it on the cherry picker, because now I can just hook it up and lift it, and now it's not sitting on the subframe. I can get to the bottom of the subframe if I need to. All that good stuff. And then if I need this out of the way, all I gotta do is undo 3 bolts and it's out of my way. The whole assembly. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick all my stuff up, and I'm gonna get these jack stands under the Grand Dam to lift up higher and get this all put back in there. And then I think I'm going to go to the house and try to cut that transmission mount bracket, or even the engine mount bracket. I might take this with me just so I can see if this, which I'm pretty sure it's not going to, yeah, no, it's way different. So, but also I do have this mount also. So if I really needed to use this will bolt right onto this bracket. And I'm pretty sure these are spaced about the same, so this might just bolt right onto that. And then if I could use that engine mount piece, I know it's going to be kind of hard to cut that out of the other subframe though, because it's like in the subframe. But that little transmission mount bracket, that should work perfect. So I think that's what I'm going to end up doing, is I'm just going to pick all this stuff up and get everything stacked back in here and head over to the house. So I'll give you guys another update before I leave, and let you know what's going on. So y'all stay tuned. Alright you guys, so I've got the cherry picker and everything back in here. I got my jack stands raised enough. I had to put a 2x4 on them to raise it up just a little bit higher. And it gave me plenty of clearance to scoot this right underneath the front bumper. So all's good. I've got the mount looking decent, so I've still got to go back to the house and fuck with the parts car and get that that transmission mount bracket cut off, and I'll see about if maybe I can possibly cut the engine mount part off, but I seriously doubt I'm going to be able to just cut that off. I'm pretty sure it's built into the subframe. So I'm at least going to go get that transmission mount bracket cut off, and then that way at least I'll have it and I can kind of mock it up and use that junk mount that I have as for mock up. And then whenever I get my poly one, I'll put it on the 07 pre transmission, and I'll take the brand new one, and then I'll have a brand new mount for over here. So that's the plan. So I got everything picked up and loaded up, everything's in the car. So I'm headed to the house, so y'all stay tuned and I'll keep you guys updated. Hey YouTube, alright, so it is Sunday, it's about 6 o'clock in the morning. So my phone was dead and it's been on the charger all night. But I've been out here in the driveway getting at it, and I got this rack and pinion swapped. So this is the old one off of the 97. It is disgusting. I know both of the inner boots were busted. Oh no, that's off the other rack. Yeah, see, these were both busted. But yeah, the lines were leaking, and I'm sure there's probably a crack in here somewhere, because it was just dumping fluid everywhere. It does not look like the lines were melted. I did just cut this one just to get it out of my way. And then the other half is laying around here somewhere. There it is. Yeah, so this was the original rack out of the 97. This is that Impala rack, which is a good rack, but it had good inner tie rods. So I just took the good inner tie rods because I know 100% for a fact that they were good, because there's nothing wrong with the steering on the Impala. And so it's taken me all night. Like I said, it's about 6 o'clock in the morning, but I've got it all swapped around. Swapped the pump around. So I overfilled, it overflowed out of the reservoir a little bit. That's what that wetness is from right there. But other than that, everything is looking nice. I got everything back on. Everything's tightened back down. Like I said, I got back over here at like 11 and it's 6 o'clock. So it's taking me like 7 hours to get this done. But it's done. Power steering works. Doesn't look like it's leaking anywhere. The pump that was on this car, that's what's on it now. And it does kind of whine a little bit and make a little bit of noise. But it does work. And it's not leaking anywhere. So as long as the pulley don't fucking come apart like the last one did, then I think we'll be good. So now that the rack and pinion and the lines and the power steering pump is all swapped around and done and good, I still have to pull the tranny cooler lines, and I need to replace those because these are leaking. So I've got to get those off, and then I still got to get that transmission mount bracket, both of them, the one that bolts to the trans and the one that's welded to the subframe. So I'm going to try to get both of those brackets off today. I want to get these tranny cooler lines off today. What else do I need? Really not that much. So, yep, that's how my night went. I had a long day over at the storage working on the Grand Am, and I've had a long ass night over here working on the 97 Grand Prix. So that's just part of this shit. And I mean, I know it sucks. I had to stay up all damn night to get this done, so it'll be done. But that's just part of the game of buying old cheap cars. And like, that's one of the main things that happens on the W bodies is rack and pinions. Like, I don't know why it seems like almost every Pontiac I get needs a rack and pinion. But that's just part of the game. So I guess right now I just want to get all my stuff picked up, because I need to go to the store. I need to get some food. I need to get a drink. I need to get some more cigarettes. So I'm going to pick all this stuff up and get everything loaded in the car. I'm going to make a store run, and then I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to start tearing into this one. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll keep you guys updated whenever I get back from the store. Alright, YouTube. Well, I ended up going and crashing around 11 and didn't get the old rack put back on here. I just got everything picked up and went to sleep. But after I got up, I went and drove this thing. It drives really good. I'm not seeing any leaks anywhere, so that's good. So yeah, that's probably going to be it for this video, you guys. Either tomorrow or whenever it's not raining, I'll go back over to the storage and continue working on the Grand Am. Actually, I guess before I do that, whenever it's not raining, I need to work on this parts car and get that transmission mount bracket cut off, so then I can go work on the Grand Am. So that's probably going to be the next thing I end up doing, is trying to get everything I need off of this parts car and so that way I can get the Grand Am subframe done. Because once I get everything done and get everything welded, then I want to pull everything back off. I want to paint the whole subframe black to make it look all nice and new.